Number 15, 181-911, substitute resolution relating to the creation of the 53206 task force. Alderman Cox is the sponsor. I am a co-sponsor. Alderman Rainey is a co-sponsor, and Alderman Hamilton. So it's a combined effort to create a task force for 53206. Alderman Cox, you want to get started?
Yes.
Excellent. Ms. Jazz, come on up because we want to make sure we show appreciation for all the hard work that you did, and let us know about some of the outreach that you did with the different stores and the different community members. So, Alderman Cox, very excited about this. So, please begin.
I'm going to pass out some maps for you all first.
Okay.
You know, as you know, Mr. Chair, and you as well, Alderman Rainey, we've been talking about this for several months.
Yes.
And doing some planning, not just for the task force, but for other ways to address issues around the 53206 zip code, which, for the record, we each represent a piece of. It's funny because I get stopped often and people are, you represent 53206? Or is that Russ? Or is that Khalid? Like, we all represent 53206.
We all do.
And I'm going to tell you my motivation. My motivation is I'm tired of seeing headlines.
Me too.
Headlines that illustrate something negative about the neighborhoods and the people that we represent. Tired of what to me appears to be an acceptance of those negative stories. One, because of what those stories show, whether it's the health stuff, whether it's the incarceration rates, whether it's the poverty levels. But two, the fact that they're so concentrated in one geographic area. There are some who believe that 53206 is the worst zip code in this nation for African Americans. And that is alarming. We as a city already get marked as some of the worst levels of every socioeconomic indicator for African Americans, but to be able to nail down to a zip code some of the worst numbers for all of these things in the nation, to me, I was raised with my mom who always taught us that if you know something, if you recognize something, if you know it to be true, you got to do something about it.
Got to.
And so instead of just sitting at home watching these stories or being on social media and seeing the articles, you know, my effort was to talk to you all who represent this area too about what could we do from our standpoint to help to uplift, improve, and make 53206, instead of the worst zip code for African American, one of the best.
Yes.
And one of the ways to start that process as a city, I think, is for us to form this task force. As you can see with the membership, we're very targeted in some of the specific areas that need to be addressed with people who have some level of expertise and or knowledge about those. Because the goal is for this task force to come with recommendations at the end. Many will be legislative, that we can policy-wise potentially input, or that we could support through resources, and some may be communal, that are not about a city action that we have to take, but maybe about strategically working together, collaboratively, to help make some things happen to change outcomes. My sincere hope is that years from now, we're not looking back at 53206 like it's so bad, but we're looking back at it like how great it's become.
Right.
And I'll just read one of the many articles that's out that Journal Sentinel published in December, and the headline was 53206 is Wisconsin's worst incarcerated zip code. And here are 4 more facts about Milwaukee's neighborhoods. It said here are 5 fast facts about 53206. A 2013 University of Wisconsin-Milwaukee study found it was the most incarcerated zip code in the state, with the majority of its men having spent time in jail or prison. Experts say little has happened since to suggest the ranking has changed. Item number 2, a third of Milwaukee's 2,940 vacant lots are located in 53206. Item number 3, 2/3 of the children in 53206 live in poverty, compared to the 42% of all children 18 and under citywide. Nearly 95% of its residents are Black. No other zip code has a greater percentage of African Americans. And point number 5, residents receive the lowest rating for health outcomes from the Center for Urban Population Health in 2009. The rating was based on access to quality health care, health behaviors, physical environment, poverty, and education. The other goal I have with the focus on 53206 is that, yeah, we may know what some of the negative things are, but we all know some of the great things.
Oh, yeah.
They talk about the vacant lots. Well, we can sit here and talk about the great things that, Andre Lee Ellis is doing with the We Got This Garden, the other great things that are happening with vacant lots throughout 53206 in each of our districts. You talk about the health outcomes and all of that and the initiatives that are being started and are being supported by the community to help address all those things. And they talk about the poverty in the neighborhoods and the breakdown, but all of us got a Miss Smith that's been there for 30 years that's helping take care of the whole neighborhood. So while we must address the negative, we also must show and help to uplift what we know is the positive as well.
Right.
So with that, I just ask for your support. This is really just our attempt to address an issue that I think we've all heard about for years, and it's just as a way for the city to get involved in a very concentrated, direct way with the beginning of this task force. There will be some who say, why concentrate on one zip code? And I would say, show me another zip code that has such dire numbers as this one. The concentration of the issues is so high in this one zip code that to not attempt to do something to directly address it would be negligent on our part, number one. Number two, it is my hope that the strategies developed, the collaborative efforts that come out of it, are ones that could be used in any neighborhood and anywhere we see similar issues arising. So although it may be under the cover of 53206, my hope is you could, whatever strategies come out of this or what we know are best practices or things that could be done to change conditions, they could be used wherever those conditions exist.
Excellent. And I just have to mention the 3 other stats that are alarming and have to be addressed. 42% of 53206 residents live below the federal poverty level compared to 27% of Milwaukee. 28% of 53206 residents lack high school diplomas compared to 17% of Milwaukee. And the unemployment rate is at 22% in 53206 compared to 4% in Milwaukee. So this is needed. I do like the makeup just for the community and for the media and for those who are watching. The 53206 task force should be comprised of 11 members, 3 from 53206 zip code area, 1 member appointed by the mayor, the health commissioner's designee or her, 1 youth council member appointed by the common council president, 1 member with experience in supporting reentry of individuals upon release from incarceration, appointed by the president, 1 member with experience in public education, appointed by the president, 1 member with experience in workforce development, appointed by the president, 1 member with research and academic experience and credentials relevant to the tasks of the 53206 task force, excellent, appointed by the president, and the director of a community organization with activities in 53206, also appointed by the president. Milwaukee's African-American residents encounter higher rates of poverty, incarceration, unemployment, and lack of access to health care, education, and transportation. And we got to put housing somewhere. God bless you. The Milwaukee's non-African-American, then Milwaukee's non-African-American residents. So excellent. Okay. So this will be a very enlightening group and some very good recommendations and legislation come out this task force. Jasmine, I do want to offer you the opportunity to tell the community and the public the amount of outreach that you've done and the amount of work that you've done. And you too, Bernadette, before we open it up to the committee.
Before you hand it off to Jazz, I do
Sure.
just want to lay the groundwork. We know, but the public don't. Like, this is one piece of legislation. It's several that we all are working on to help address some 53206 issues. And, you know, Alderman Rainey, you already did the doula piece for 53206, and it's much more legislation coming forward. But along with the legislation, there is community outreach and a lot of partnership and collaboration with community that we're attempting to do as well to help to address, because everything can't be legislated. And so it's other things that we all are helping to do outside of just the legislation. And in my office, Jasmine Tyler is the point person who is helping to organize to help us do that community outreach and those events and targeted things that can help change outcomes.
Right.
And Bernadette, who will speak after Jasmine, you know, is our workforce development person. And when you talk about the poverty level, when you talk about the joblessness and all of that kind of stuff, will be helping us do things to help address that. In fact, there's a couple of things already planned to come this summer that we're jointly doing together that she's helping to coordinate. But
Sure. Thank you.
Good afternoon.
Hi.
How you doing, Russ?
Doing wonderful. You?
I'm doing good.
Thanks for coming
Thanks
down.
for the plug on the
Oh,
single.
yeah. Told everybody.
Yeah, I appreciate it. So a little bit of background in regards to my relation to 53206. My grandparents purchased their first home, their only home, in 1960 on 14th and Burleigh. So my entire family has grown up over there since 1960. I've lived there up until I was about 19 years old, which is when I moved out to get my own home. My grandmother still lives over there to this day.
And how old is she?
She's 100. She'll be 102 this fall. So
She in your district or mine?
in the 6th district.
Wow.
But I have very close relationships with the neighbors over there, the citizens. So it holds a special place in my heart. It's very necessary that we do the legislation as well as the community events to try to rebuild that area, which I consider as the outer city. It looks like it's left out of, you know, what everybody else is benefiting from. Some of the things that I've come up with is the hip-hop gardens. So as Alderwoman Cogg stated earlier in regards to how many vacant lots there is in 53206, my goal is to take those lots and turn them into a creative space for hip-hop artists. It doesn't necessarily, you don't necessarily have to do hip-hop or anything like that, but I would just like to convert those into a positive space. So when they're walking outside of their homes, they're not seeing just abandoned houses or vacant lots or things of that nature. It's just a place where you can go, whether you want to break dance, rap, sing, poetry, or whatever. You just have that option.
Yeah.
Another event that we'll be kicking off this summer is called Yoga in the Hood. So that's pretty much just yoga instructors coming literally in the inner city of 53206 with residents, kids from the neighborhood just doing yoga freely on the vacant lots. We have a block party, a community event coming with the Big Three. A lot of major things that's just happening based around that on top of the day-to-day communication with the citizens over there. So by me being familiar with that area and going to visit my grandmother often, I take a lot of walks. I go to a lot of the corner stores, and I'm engaging them inside of some of the plans that we have to revamp that area.
Excellent. Good work. Ms. Bernadette?
Ms. Bernadette Caranja, Office of Workforce Development Coordinator. Thank you for having me. Thank you, Alderwoman Coggs, for plugging me as well. We are in the process of coordinating a number of job fairs. We actually going to have about 8 job fairs that are sponsored by honorable council members. But I'm particularly excited about one job fair, which will happen on August 29th, and it will be in the 53206 zip code, courtesy and, shall I say, the encouragement of Richard Diaz, who's sitting in the audience, with the Amani neighborhood. He fervently came to me and said, listen, I saw the street job fair you did with Alderwoman Coggs and 6th and Minor Key last year. I want one exactly like it in Amani neighborhood. So we sat down and strategically decided that 20th and Locust would be perfect because that is the boundary for District 6, District 7, and District 15.
That's right.
So I'm encouraging you all to be there. I know it's during the recess time, but Richard is going to do a great amount of promotion within the community, and we are going to do a great amount of promotion with employers and resources, community resources, so that we have at least a representation of about 30 to 50 people. We have an Eventbrite registration process for the employers and the resource organizations, and we encourage you all to actually go ahead and register.
Excellent, excellent. All right. Well, good work, everybody. Do we have any comments? Alderman Rennie, you're one of the sponsors. Did you want to talk about District 7, 5, and 15 and our effort to improve 53206?
No, I'm not only a representative of the zip code 53206, but I actually grew up in the 53206 zip code, and that was long before that was ever even a conversation. I didn't even know what the zip code was. And I went to school on one end of the corner. I went to Emaz Lutheran, and we lived at the other end of the corner. So for me personally, often when I hear about these statistics, I know the 7th Automatic District, I know Alderman McCobbs, Alderman Stamper, we know our districts intimately because through the campaign experience, we actually get to go up in these homes and talk to people and meet them and get to really understand where they're at. And, these statistics at times could really, strip the humanity from, from a neighborhood. Because I know some really, really, really good people in 53206 that's working really hard daily, to fight for their neighborhood.
Right.
Just last week, I was out there with Ricardo Diaz and Rice Bay. We were doing a walkthrough throughout the entire neighborhood, trying to figure out, the difference that we can make. I'm excited about it. I'm excited about the potential of this task force, feeding strategy to the creation of the Office of African American Affairs. If it's 95% of the residents are African American, it's definitely an issue. That's something that should be taken up by the Office of African American Affairs as well.
Yep.
And just prior to this meeting, I met with a group called Code Milwaukee, and they said they had just met with you, Alderwoman Cox, recently, and we were discussing this actual file, and we were talking about how can we apply technology to create solutions to some of the issues that the people of 53206 is experiencing. So maybe that's something else that we could add to it, and hopefully that can make a difference and unify the neighborhood and neighbors. So I'm excited about it. I'm looking forward to the outcomes, and I'm with you, Alderwoman Cox. I think that one thing that we can look back on and hopefully say is that the work that we did during our time as servants improved the condition and quality of life for the people in the 53206 zip code. So thank you for your leadership.
Thank you, thank you. So at this time, I do see Mr. Diaz and Mr. Bay in the audience. Would you guys like to speak on this item? Are you here for this item?
Please.
Are you here for this item?
Bryce Bay, you never short for words.
Excuse me?
Just to hear about it. Y'all already saying everything needs to be said.
Okay. Mr. Diaz?
Yeah, I'm good. I just was here to listen and stand in solidarity.
Okay. Excellent, excellent. Okay, well, I grew up on 26th and Burleigh. Maggie Johnson, my grandmother's oldest sister, used to send me to the store all the time. So I got a piece of history in 53206 too. So we all do, and now we're in a position to make an actual difference and leave a legacy for our zip code in the city of Milwaukee. So thank you, Alderman Coggs, Randy Hamilton, and all of the council members. Yes, Alderman Johnson.
Mr. Chairman, thank you very much.
Absolutely.
While I don't represent any part of 53206, I'm just looking at the map and thinking about my own history here. And
See yourself.
I see 6 places that I lived.
Yep.
I see 2 schools that my siblings have gone to, a former place that I worked, the groundbreaking, the ribbon cutting for the Northside YMCA when it was just a field back in the day as well. So I got a lot of history here.
I see a lot too.
You know how sometimes people get desensitized to the sounds of gunshots. Mr. Chairman, you have mentioned in the past that before ShotSpotter was implemented, there were 80-some shots that were happening that nobody was calling in.
Right.
Living in a zip code that has had some of the distinctions that Alderman Coggs has already touched on, I got desensitized to it too.
Yeah.
And the one time that I ever remember hitting the ground when gunshots were fired was when I lived on 19th and Center, just north of Center. My cousin was sitting outside on the porch. He was mistaken for somebody else, and he was shot 5 times. That's the
He
only
lived?
He lived, yeah.
Good.
That's the only time that I ever hit the ground. And I remember before I was even elected, news stories and data saying that in this small space, about 10% of the total crime in the city of Milwaukee happens.
Yep.
So if we are able to move forward policies and initiatives that affect in a positive way the people and the institutions that are here in this place, we could have a tremendous impact on this city overall. And I think that's very telling. There's this old saying about a place, a city, only being as strong as the weakest link. And if we can shore that up and tighten it up and make it stronger, then I think that's good, not just for 53206, not just for your aldermanic districts, but for the city of Milwaukee entirely. And so with that, I would love to be added as a co-sponsor.
Of course.
I actually think that the entire committee, because what happens here does affect the entire city, I think that this entire committee and the entire council at some point should be sponsors on this file.
I think they will be. Perez, do you have, okay, what about you, Zelensky? Of course. Excellent, excellent. So just for the record, the furthest east, everybody, is 7th Street. 7th Street is the furthest east for 53206, and then the furthest west is 27th Street, okay? So from north to south, you got Capitol all the way to North Avenue. That is 53206 for the record. And tonight, in the fabulous 15th Automatic District, is Meet Russ on the Block Town Hall meeting at the 2700 block on 24th Place, right in 53206. We're going to be on the block, all the city departments. Please come out. Mr. Diaz, I sent you the flyer. Mr. Bay, I'll see y'all in a little while, 5:30. With that, Alderman Perez moves, well, the whole committee moves for adoption, unanimous support. Excellent work, you all. We're looking forward to this. Do we have a timeline, Alderman Cox? How long are we going to get this task for?
90 days.
Thank y'all.
90 days.
90 days. 90 days. Then we'll have some recommendations, do a big press conference information, and get the whole world, or the whole 506 and the whole city on board. Thank you guys very much. All of the aldermen move for approval. Hearing no objection, so ordered. That concludes